Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan, and today I'm going to be talking about the current reboot from 2019 of a show that scared many people like myself when we were children. Of course, my channel is typically focused on Goosebumps, but this is a segment I always call on the show in case this happens to be your first video or whatever. I feel like this video might bring some people to the channel, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it will stoke at least the curiosity of people that watch my channel already. The remake from 2019, not even remake, reboot is what I'd like to call it, of Are You Afraid of the Dark? The old Nickelodeon show from the 90s that was a creepy horror anthology about scary stories told by a bunch of teens and kids around a campfire in the middle of the night called the Midnight Society. And this show, I liked it a lot. I have to say, I might even love the show. I am really stoked about this show. I didn't review these week by week because apparently they're not going anthology series. They're basically going in the direction of having each episode tie together, at least for this first season. It's possible that in future seasons they're not going to go that way. I'd kind of prefer them not to go that way. But with this first season alone, there's 3 episodes, at least currently as far as I know. From what they advertised on TV and on IMDb, it seems like it's just 3 standalone episodes. And then it's done for the season, and I really hope we get more, because it deserves to have more. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't this stellar, wonderful thing, but it was really good. It was really engaging. It was really fun to watch. I had a blast watching this show. All 3 episodes are about an hour long in total when you have them recorded like I did. Maybe a little bit less than that, but somewhere in that fraction of time, about an hour. And it was so much fun. It was just such a... It really reminds me of what TV and cartoons and like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and Disney and all those things were when I was a kid, and how much it brings back that emotion. Even though the show is very, very, very modern, it seems like your typical modern day horror show or just TV show in general for younger viewers. But it works incredibly well. I had such a blast watching this. I have rambled about this for 3 weeks now to my family, and they're so sick of hearing about it. So now I'm going to ramble about it to you guys and talk so much in depth about it. I'm not going to spoil anything, number one. I want you to know this is a spoiler-free review, but I will talk about the basic setup for the show itself, at least in the first episode, and kind of little things, little tidbits throughout this 3-episode run for this season. I just wanted to let you know as much as I possibly could without giving too much away, but I had a blast once again. To start off, we have a girl named Rachel Carpenter. My voice just cracked. Oh my god. That's embarrassing. Anyway, my name is not Rachel Carpenter. The girl's name in the show is Rachel Carpenter, and basically, and we'll get into the names here soon. You guys probably already know with your ear ringing about the word Carpenter or the name Carpenter, but we'll get there in a little bit. Rachel Carpenter moves into a new town, and she basically has these nightmares, and she draws these pictures of this man called Mr. Top Hat, who runs this thing called the Carnival of Doom. And this man really haunts her. He's basically just a circus type of ringleader, you know? The guy that makes all the announcements when you go to the circus. It's basically that guy. He has a cane, he has a hat on top of his head and everything else, and he's kind of like Pennywise the Dancing Clown from Stephen King's It. He can kind of pop up anywhere he wants to. He can make you hallucinate and see these horrifying things like scorpions or his big trademark that he has. The show itself is very much a kind of like a kid's knockoff of Stephen King's It, or at least the newer 2017 and 2019 films, It and It Chapter 2. And a lot of people are probably going to have problems with that. A lot of the IMDb reviews reference that, and it's stupid. Why are you going to criticize this for that? It's not that important. But I just wanted to make sure that it is referenced, that it does feel a lot like that. And you even have, I can't remember the kid's name, but he plays Ben Hanscom in Stephen King's It, and he was also in Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween. His name is Jeremy Ray Taylor. This kid is the 90s kid that's popping up in absolutely everything that references the 90s, which was It, Goosebumps, now Are You Afraid of the Dark? This kid is everywhere, and he's always fun. I really enjoyed him here. But I liked all the characters here. I had a fantastic time bonding with these people and watching them banter and bicker. The writing for these characters was so much fun. But getting back to Rachel herself, she gets into a school and she starts finding notes in her locker after she drew a picture of Mr. Top Hat and threw it in a school trash can. Somebody found that, and she starts receiving these notes from different people, or at least she assumes they're different people, inviting her to come out basically in the middle of the woods and be a part of this thing called the Midnight Society. And I love the way they did the Midnight Society this time around in this particular show. You didn't really get to see the conception of this in the old 90s show. And I really hope, by the way, since the old show ran for like 8 seasons, I think, something like that, I really hope this show runs as long because they could do so much with this. I miss kids' horror, like Goosebumps. I mean, I'm obviously obsessed with it because my whole channel's focused on it. But still, I love this, and I wish we had more of this. I wish we had a Goosebumps remake that was also made by Ace, the people who made this, because they get it. They get what they're doing with Are You Afraid of the Dark, and they know how to modernize it in the proper way and do it in a good way. I want Goosebumps to be the same way. If they're going to make it into a TV show that's live action at all, I want these people to be involved with that. Specifically, Dean Israelite, the guy who directed all 3 of the episodes. I want him specifically involved with the Goosebumps stuff if he's going to ever do it. If there was ever a chance we could get a TV show reboot type thing, I want him involved because he knows what he's doing, in my opinion. I just think that we should leave out like cell phones. Keep it in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, I think they should have done that with this show too, but they utilized it in a way that made it modern in a good way for this that I think works better than it would with Goosebumps. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The Midnight Society does not reveal its identity until you tell your story and they accept you into the club, which they do with Rachel in this case. The story she told was about Mr. Top Hat, involving all these nightmares that she's had about this place called the Carnival of Doom. Her story is kind of creepy about a little girl getting stuck in this situation out in the Carnival of Doom with her parents. And there's some stuff in this series involving the beginning of this story that Rachel tells to the group, including the man with the glasses. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. That I'm a little surprised made it to Nickelodeon on TV. I'm really surprised about a lot of the stuff that was in here. A lot of the things that happened here, like the urinal thing, that was weird. I was a little surprised to see that in a kid's show. Say what you will about Nickelodeon, but they had some gall with this show. I mean, I really respect what they did here. This could have easily been a knockoff, crappy, semi-cinematic, theatrical release dumped just straight to DVD. It could have easily been that and just put out into Walmart for $5. And they didn't go that route. They did something really special with this, and I really enjoyed this. I don't know a lot of people who have even talked about this with me in like real life, like any of my family or friends who loved Goosebumps or who loved Are You Afraid of the Dark or any of those things. I don't know anybody who's actually talked about this with me face to face. Maybe I will this weekend when I see some family that I talk to about this kind of stuff, but for right now, I'm surprised the kind of reviews that this is getting. This is totally a situation where people either love it or they hate it. I don't know many people who are very much in between that I've seen online. A lot of people are for this or completely against it. A lot of that has to do with the whole carry-on story element, where all 3 of the episodes are actually tied together and not just one big, anthology series of 3 different stories for each episode, which I kind of love more from the old show. I think I love the old show more still, but I really liked this and thought it was a great tribute to so many things. This show, this reboot thing, especially with Jeremy Ray Taylor's character, Graham, loves the horror genre. It has such a great admiration and tribute to everything from horror. I mean, whether it be 90s stuff, they never reference Goosebumps as far as I know, but they have things like just the Are You Afraid of the Dark stuff. Like there's at one point at the carnival, I think in the 2nd episode of the show, where you see somebody in the back wearing Zebo the Clown's, like a mask of that. And I thought that was awesome because I thought at first I was like, I recognize that. And then I know where from now when I realized it clicked and it was the clown from, the Zebo episode about the nose in the fun house at the carnival of all things. I thought that was pretty cool as a little reference because the show is so focused on a carnival, which by the way, I love carnivals. So that was a really cool atmosphere for this episode. Not as fitting for Halloween, but it still worked, I guess, for what they're going for in my opinion. But there are so many things they treasure about the horror genre. They constantly mention Bela Lugosi and like these horror movies from the 70s and 80s and stuff. They reference the old stuff that I love, like the Universal Monsters flicks. They reference so many things that I love. And if you're a big horror fan like myself and have grown up on all of these timeless things, like so many just in-depth horror knowledge is thrown into this, and I'm shocked by that. At one point, me and my boy Graham, that Jeremy Ray Taylor plays, had a weird bonding moment, even though I'm talking about a TV show and he has no idea that I exist and whatever. His reality, my reality, whatever. This boy talked about fire in the sky. Any kid that was born in the 90s, like myself, who had a parent that was irresponsible and showed them Fire in the Sky, the alien abduction movie, you know what I'm talking about if it scarred you as bad as it did me. Jeremy Ray Taylor's character Graham talks about how he was too young to see that movie when he saw it and how it just completely traumatized him. Bruh, that happened to me. My mom showed that movie to me on TV one time, and it scarred me for life. To this day, there are moments from that scene, or from that movie. You can find the clips online if you want to, but I recommend just seeing the whole thing. The movie itself is not great, but it's creepy, dude. It just has a creepy atmosphere. It's probably the scariest alien invasion film, in my opinion. But the fact that they mentioned fire in the sky, of all things on the planet, not The Exorcist, not The Conjuring or Insidious or anything like that that's more modern that kids would probably be, oddly enough, more familiar with, they didn't talk about that. They didn't talk about Annabelle or Chucky or anything like that. They talked about fire in the sky. Of all obscure things on this planet in the horror genre, you talk about that. Blew my mind, dude. And the fact that Graham has the same relationship with that film that I had about being traumatized as a young child, that was great. I just had a blast watching this. Everything from the plot stuff. I know I'm rambling on more about small things that you probably didn't want to know ahead of time, but still, I had a blast, man. I think especially one of the big things I constantly want to talk about that nobody else talks about in any of the reviews I've seen online, the music was great for this show. All 3 episodes, the music was fantastic. I don't care if it's a score or a soundtrack. Everything fits so well. I can't believe more people aren't talking about this. I think a lot of it is Nickelodeon's promotion of the show. They didn't really show many promos of it. The only people who knew it were coming out anyway were people like myself that stay on top of stuff like this, that had heard so much about it when the review that I did for the trailer came out. No one talked about it either. Which, by the way, somebody commented and said their sister was in this. I'm a little surprised by that, too, if that's true. I'm not naive enough to guess that it probably is, but still, I mean, I'm like the only person who cared about that trailer when it came out. It was like in September, like a month before this got released for the first episode. And I can't believe people aren't making a bigger deal about this. This was fun. It was a really cool, well-done tribute to the old show. And I'm afraid that what if this doesn't get more seasons or any more episodes at all because of people not tuning into it or people not knowing enough about it? It's a shame, honestly. I really thought this was worthwhile. All 3 episodes I was totally sucked into and really engaged with, especially with these characters. Like I said earlier in the video, all of the rambling and the bantering amongst these characters, it was fun. It was bickering that worked so well. To me, it worked better than the bickering and bantering amongst the friends in the Losers Club and the It remakes. I think they did a really special thing here, and I think nobody needs to... Again, it's not scary. I would say that up front. There are moments that are kind of eerie and creepy. There's a little bit of atmosphere to the show, too. But I wouldn't necessarily say this show is scary. Maybe for younger viewers, like lower middle grade viewers, but maybe even elementary schoolers, which I would think this is more of a terrifying thing for. But people like myself that are in our 20s that are watching a reboot show of something we loved when we were kids that also traumatized me when I was a child, it's not going to scare you as an adult as much, especially if you're used to the horror genre like myself. There was just so many fun things about this. One of my favorite things about the show that I did not realize until they explained what Gavin's last name was on a missing child poster at one point in the show. The characters are all... It's like the Silent Hill video games where they named all the streets after like horror writers and stuff. Like you have Koontz Street and King Street and all that for Dean Koontz and Stephen King. This show did the same thing with horror movie icons. Not like Michael Myers or anything like that, but like, for example, I talked about earlier, Rachel's last name is Carpenter. Oh, sorry, I clicked out of it on IMDb. Gavin's last name is Coscarelli, which... Coscarelli made Phantasm, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I was really hoping I can get to that by the end of this month. I'm still going to try to. I actually bought a really cool steelbook case release of that recently for the 40th anniversary or whatever it was, because I love some Phantasm. That's a great movie if you haven't seen that and you like Goosebumps type things. It's scary too. It's always scared me, but I have a cool story to talk about that whenever I get around to talking about the original Phantasm movie. I thought it was really cool seeing Coscarelli's name thrown anywhere in here. You don't see a lot of love for Coscarelli anymore. I don't know why, but you just don't. There's another girl in this named Akiko. I don't know what she's supposed to be a reference to. Maybe it's not a reference, maybe it's just whatever, but I don't think I know that reference from somewhere. That's just me, though. Of course, Jeremy Ray Taylor's name in the show is Graham Raimi. Sam Raimi, of course. Evil Dead, Spider-Man remakes. And of course, like I said, with Rachel, John Carpenter, like Halloween, They Live, Christine, all of those things. Great movies, man. Really, really cool references here. You have Luis Fulci, played by Tamara Smart, which Fulci, the Italian guy that made like zombie and Zombie 2 and all those things. Luis is a cool twist on that. It's like a female version of his actual name. Oh, you have the brother of Akiko. He's played by Cardi Wong. He was, by the way, very good, by the way. His name is Officer Hideo Yamato. I don't know about the Yamato part, but Hideo, I'm pretty sure, is a reference to Hideo Kojima, who created, not played, Metal Gear Solid. He was involved with the making of Silent Hills, which is canceled, which pisses me off because I love some Silent Hill and we never get anything like that anymore. I'm convinced now I'm never going to see another Silent Hill game, and it's because of stuff like that. But anyway, there's another character named Adam Lynch in the show. David Lynch, Eraserhead, Mulholland Drive, all those things. Like, dude, I love the references in the show to all of these people that I grew up watching all their movies and their content and stuff. I said content, just like it was YouTube instead of movies and Hollywood. This was so good. Why does nobody like this as much as I did? I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Yeah, it's very modern. Yeah, it's not really scary. But did you have fun? Did you enjoy these characters? That's my biggest thing. If you don't really have a great atmosphere going for your movies or your films or anything, or if you don't have a great story, which this is an okay story in my opinion. I think the whole idea is pretty decent. It's not the most amazingly executed story that you could have done for this story type, but I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought it was engaging for the character stuff. The character stuff was fun. I had a blast watching these kids get along. I mean, they seem like they'll be the kind of people, like the cast of Friends, that'll be friends in real life forever, I had a blast watching this. I really would love to hear your thoughts down below on the Are You Afraid of the Dark remake from 2019, or at least the reboot, whatever you want to call it. Season 1, I guess is what we'll call this in the title. I guess we could. I really honestly recommend this, and apparently tomorrow, which is actually today for you guys watching this video, they're going to be doing a whole marathon on Nickelodeon of all 3 of the episodes like back to back. I don't know if it's going to be multiple times they play all 3 back to back or just once like later on in the day. I recommend watching it, DVR it if you get a chance. It's really cool. I hope this gets released on DVD so I can buy it. I would love to get a copy of this to add to my massive movie collection that I don't need. I would love to have this because this is good. I really, really like this a lot, and I recommend it tremendously, especially for folks like yourself who might be watching this and might be a Goosebumps fan and like the channel already. This is good. This is good, and I wish I could say I had more confidence that Goosebumps could be good too if they remade it with these guys from Ace. But overall, everybody involved did a really good job. All the acting was good. Again, the music was good. The cinematography was pretty decent for this. I mean, I was really surprised by this. It doesn't feel like a low-budget type of thing for the most part. The carnival stuff was really cool, like the sets for that. I was really impressed with all of that. I was really, really impressed with the rides. If you've seen the sequence of this show where they did the rides, I thought that was pretty cool. The show has a lot to offer. I really liked it. So when it comes to Are You Afraid of the Dark, Season 1, I guess, 2019 Season 1, whatever you want to say, if it's just secluded to these 3 episodes and I happen to not be wrong, and maybe that's it for this season, and then Season 2 will be its own thing with current further episodes, if there's more. If this 3-episode area is just Season 1 and that's it, there's no Part 2 or Season 1 Section B or anything like that, this is really solid. I liked it a lot. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I would honestly give this a 4 out of 5. I thought it had a lot to offer. Not the scariest thing ever. Again, maybe for younger viewers that aren't used to horror, maybe it'll get to you a whole lot more. But there's a lot of cool love for horror history here. And I love the intro, by the way, to... oh, by the way, they have the original music for the original show on this, too, for the introduction for the show, which is really cool in my opinion. But one thing I was going to say, one of my favorite introductions of all time now is Jeremy Ray Taylor's Graham Ramey, when he gets off the school bus and he's listening to, like, this really weird music and he's dancing to it and, like, avoiding people throwing things at him. It was great. This show has so much humor to it. Again, if you like the Stephen King It remakes, I think you'd love this. I think it's great, honestly. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the remake? Put your thoughts in comments down below. What would you rate this? Did you like this more than the original show, or do you love the original show more like myself? What do you think? Put your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today. Have a happy Halloween. Please be careful going out. That's very soon. It's next week that Halloween comes around, so be careful. Anyway, thank you guys. God bless you, and goodbye.